I want to take you back to the beginning of Bible prophecy, how it was from the foundation of the world, earth, before this man came to be. I won't have time to finish this in this part, but I'm going to start anyway. And I'm going to show you something here. 10 minutes, I'll be able to do something here. I want to leave the chart here. And I want to put this back here one more time because I know so many people have not listened to the Bible. Right here in this chart I just placed here, I got the earth green, the moon blue, and the sun. The reason I decided to go here this morning is it was alleged here in the United States of America that there's water on the moon. Let me show you how the mindset of people, how they think. And they're going to take and send a rocket that crashing into the moon and try to make water come up. Well, that make us think that he's just going to send something up there and crash into the moon and try to knock up water, says froze water there. They're looking for a place to hide because they know God came. They done sent a man out there and then saw how this is and sent exploration vehicles. But why crash something into it? Common wisdom say if you're going to crash something into it, it's not going to be, and you say it's ice, you're going to put something in this missile, common wisdom, that will turn into nuclear heat and try to melt and turn into nuclear fire and try to burn it and see is the ice. But that's a lie you're telling the people. I'm going to show you why. I took and I showed this here. And some of my recordings, which people don't have. And that's the reason I said this opportunity prevents itself and I have to do this. If you go and you read Genesis chapter 1, the first 3 days, you will understand during the beginning of God's creation, there was no sun and no moon in the earth. Above there, there was no sun and no moon. So the due process of life began before there was a sun or moon, where the earth would not have any rotation. But when he created the sun and the moon, if he created the sun and the moon later on, it tells you that changed the dynamics of the atmosphere here up on the earth. And if he created the sun up there and he placed the moon, so the moon's place would have to be a regulator to be used to shield the deadly heat rays of the sun from penetrating the earth continuously. As the sun and the moon rotates around the earth and stays in its habitat around the earth and does not fly out into space and leave the earth, it means it have God created for a common purpose to be used along with the sun. So, in my writing, in my books, I explain the significance of the moon. I said it is a regulator. I spoke concerning this matter when I made this DVDs, created this DVDs here for purpose, and showed you how the dinosaurs were destroyed. The dinosaurs and some of the creatures that's here, cold-blooded creatures, before the sun and the moon was here in the habitat of the land, the due process of life had begun, where God created the vegetation first before he created man. They was growing without anything to harvest them. So there was no man to harvest until the soil here to be upkeepers of the earth. So this was before the moon and the sun was placed there in the earth. So if there was no moon or sun and the sun there was no hot or cold. There was no season. But only when God placed the moon and the sun in the earth was their seasons begin. It tells you that in Genesis, and which I will tell you on this here next recording here. But I want to get this part there so you know what to look for in this next recording. Through this measures, if God placed this moon as a regulator, and I have studied energies because I was a mechanic, because you have to have an alternator, but you have to have a regulator to keep it from overcharging. In power station, you have to have a regulator when you harvest the energy, electric energy. You got to have grids to cool down the excess energy that comes through there. I'm just giving you common wisdom sense. Well, the same thing applies to the sun. The moon is the sun beams upon the earth in certain seasons. The moons come between that in design in somewhat way God got it designed to cool the earth down, to take some of the heat that comes from the sun, keep it from beaming directly up on the earth. So by this done, so it tells us if the moon cannot be inhabited because its purpose is to be a heat regulator or to be a deflector, to deflect some of the heat from the sun coming up on the face of the earth. Let alone tell you there's no water on the moon. Sense intent. Now, if so, if that man with a sinister mind, he don't know how this earth was created. If he sends and put a nuclear device up on that moon out of malice and discharge that nuclear energy, and it turns the fire up there and it changes the dynamics of the moon surface, then it'll create an abnormal weather pattern here upon the whole entire earth. Done so, it could affect our food change, even the habitat of man. And God would have used that man's knowledge against him. He would become the vessel that God used to act as a will. God said there, I just got to read in Micah, that the food will stop producing. But God don't do stuff with his own hand. He take and use the mind of that evil man. When he think he's going to do something on his own, God is pushing buttons and pulling levers and cause him to be come his own destruction. And all he has to do is sit down. He is his worst enemy. He's the man who's crying wolf. He's the man who's saying that everybody is out to get him, yet he is the man that took the strychnine with his own hand, and he turned it up and he swallowed it himself. He's the man who tied a noose around his neck and threw it over, secured it on him, and stood on a bucket and kicked the bucket out himself. And he is saying that as he's sitting, taking his last breath, what all of these things that he have called, and said somebody else to blame. The conditions of America, the conditions of these greatest nations was not caused by the hands of anyone else. They have been the dominant nations here upon the face of the earth from day one, even during the reign of Alexander the Great. The power of the earth have been in their hand because it's spoken of in Job 1 and Job 2 that he had marched through the breadth of the earth being a conqueror, and he was impatient when he went to God and spoke to God, telling God, take the hedge I'm round. He had conquered the whole world and came to him and said, take the head I'm round, Job, I make him curse you to your face. Isn't this strange? Habakkuk said, how can you stand and watch iniquity? The wicked man of the earth, which is the Gentile, is judging man is more righteous than he is. Should he continue to empty his nets, keep slaying the peoples in the nations of the world, and empty his net and go back and try to devour the world? Other nation kill other nation? When is he going to stop this? Why do you let this happen? Well,